Hello there, Will Patillo here, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the flexibility of my open source character controller by modifying this existing third person character into a first person character. So just to get started right here, here is my player character. It's currently set up to third person, and the first thing, I'm just going to get rid of this human model animator because in first person view you typically can't see your body. So I'm just going to remove that. Oh, and I don't want to break the prefab, so I'm just going to unpack it and get rid of this human model and get rid of any dependencies on that human model, or basically anything relating to animation. So right here, my humanoid state machine, I see there's something missing, so I'm just going to get rid of it right there. Let's see, on this top level, doesn't seem like there's going to be any problems. If I dig down on this brain, if I look at the turn system, yeah, that's something has gone there. I'm not going to worry about what it was, so I'll just get rid of it. Let's see, on the jump system, right here, there is a progress event. This is so that it's the physics that actually makes the character jump, but it only happens 20% of the way into the jump because of how the progress event's set up. So instead of having this call it, the jump is going to happen directly from the keyboard input. So when the space bar is pressed down, rather than just setting the state machine, which actually I'll keep that because that controls blocking movement and certain abilities, I'll just bring in right here, have the jump physics, have it jump immediately. And so now I don't need this progress event or the respond to animated state. And the rest looks like it should be fine. I'll just keep that. And yeah, well, oh, and then also on the camera tripod, I'm still going to be following the player for now, but it's not going to be offset in quite the same way. So rather than being 1.5 up and 3 back, I'll leave that height, but bring it in a little ways, and then get rid of this downwards looking rotation. All right, so save that and run the game and just see how it looks so far. And let's see, I'm able to move and rotate right off the bat. If I hit shift, then I'm switching into my running motion. Yeah, I'm still going up those. Great. And now, I guess the one other thing that was in the third-person character was the crouch ability. So if I press C, I am moving slower, but I don't see my camera move down. And that's because we're in the third-person view, we didn't really need to move the view around at all. You just see the character crouch. Since we can't see ourselves anymore, we need to move the camera to simulate that, or to visualize that kind of movement. So I'm going to unpack this camera tripod right here and add a little bit more to it. So I'll create an empty right here and make this, let's see, I'll give it a standing height. And that will be the, let's see, this height seemed fine, so we'll just set that 1.5 as our standing height and duplicate that and create a crouching height. And I'll set that one to 0.75. And actually, you know what, come to think of it, 1.25 is probably going to be a better height. Okay, great. So those define the heights. Now I need to actually move this camera so that it goes between the two of them. And so it needs the ability to move, so I'll just add a component here and give it a jump to position. Define two possible locations, including the standing height and the crouching height. Now this jump to position script, it has a cycle location method that just kind of cycles between all the locations, and then ultimately that calls the set position to move to one of them. So this should be all I need to attach to the camera, but then something needs to call this. So let's see, if I go down to my toggle actions, Here where I toggle crouching, instead of just affecting the move state machine, I'm going to keep that one and then also tell the main camera jump to position to cycle location. So let's see what happens now. Oh, and also just verify, yes, the jump works. Now when I press C, I crouch down. But that's happening instantaneously, and I'd like to make it a little smoother than that. So I'm going to add a little bit of indirection here. You create another empty game object inside of this camera tripod, which, by the way, I'm going to rename first person camera. And I'm going to call this the target height. And I'll move this jump to position, copy it, remove it, and place this in the target height. So that the target will jump immediately, but the camera will move gradually to the target is the idea here. So in my main camera, I'll just add a, so I want to move to that position. So I typed, oh wait, there we go, move to target. So this will just continuously move towards this target height, and I'll give it a speed of 5. And now, let's see, now in this toggle actions, rather than moving the camera, well, since I moved to that jump to position, so I'm going to switch that over to target height and just once again call cycle location right there. So pressing C causes the target to jump between, and then the camera will continually follow it. So let's see how that works, and let's see. So start off, press C, and I move between them. Now it looked a little strange at the start, and that's because my target height started off at 0, so I should have it match my default height. So I'll just set this to 1.25 and just take care of that little mistake right now. And there, so I'm crouched and standing, crouched and standing and jump. All right, great. So that is it for crouching. Next, I'll get on to turning. Now, I already have the ability to turn by pressing keys, which I've just defined here. I'm using keypad 4 and 6, or Q and E to be able to turn, and that's fine. But I'd like to also have the option of using my mouse and dragging around on the screen to look around, and that includes looking up and downwards, because that's kind of common in a lot of open world sort of or first-person games, is to be able to look in all directions, give the player a little bit more freedom of view. So let's see. Well, this is turn logic, so I'm going to just minimize this down, this as well, and just add a component for mouse input. And then let's see. Well, I'll start with just having on mouse drag, and I'll go with my player, and I'll start by just kind of making this the way my fly camera works. There's another scene that has that. So let's see, what is the two-axis rotation is what that one uses. And there's some settings here. So I'll just start off by calling this and see how it works, and then maybe change things from there. So if I put in my player, two-axis rotation, and rotate, I'm also going to shrink down these sensitivities. All right. So let's see what happens. Go here, and I can look around, and actually that already is working pretty great. Except you'll see this if I start running, my speed gets a little slower, and it just gets a little off a bit especially when I'm running and I'm looking up or down. And that's because I'm actually rotating the character, which isn't really right. So I'm going to actually get rid of this and break this up a little better. Instead of just rotating the same object on 2 different axes, I'm going to rotate the player on a single axis of rotation, and the player is only going to rotate on the y-axis, and it doesn't have any maximum range or anything. And then the camera will have a single axis rotation that goes on the x-axis, and this is going to be limited from -80 to +80, so I can't look completely straight up or down, and make sure that clamp is checked so these actually get used. So let's see how that works. And oh wait, and I need to actually call these. So on a turn system right here, so instead of using this on mouse drag that has a vector 2 and deals with both of them at once, I'll use a separate the on mouse drag X and the on mouse drag Y. So when I drag along the x-axis, that is, I'm dragging horizontally, that's when I want the player to turn. So I'll just bring in player and single axis rotation and rotate. Then on the mouse drag Y, that means when I'm dragging my mouse up and down, that on the y-axis, then that is when I will rotate the camera up and down using the single axis rotation dot rotate. So I'll run this again, and I can look left and right and up and down. And something feels a little wonky about this right now. Something, it's just not quite intuitive. And that is because of the inversions. I'm going to invert the x-axis and try to just get something that feels more natural. Yeah, okay, I'm liking this one a lot. The camera's going where I'm expecting to, and it is not affecting how I move. All right, so there's one more thing that was included in the third-person controller, and that is, if we go over here, this AI character. Once I got into view of them before, then they would follow me. So let's first I'm going to try this out, see how it's working, and then see what I need to adapt to make it work with this first-person version. So let's see. I'll walk over to it, and it just runs and follows me. It just works. Because the AI doesn't need to care whether I'm a first-person character or a third-person character. It just found something that met its conditions, and it is following that target. So that is all. I have just in those couple of minutes, I have created a first-person controller from out of my third-person controller using the same, without writing a single line of code. And once again, if you want to check this out, download this project to use as a starting point for some of yours, or just pull some of these scripts, like you want to use a single axis rotation or something, for something that's totally unrelated to character controls, or if you have something that you want to contribute to this project, because it's open source, then you can find that on GitHub on Will9371 character template, and I also have a link to this GitHub page in the description below. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.